We're diving deep into the top 5 rarest and most valuable Lincoln pennies ever discovered. Could be worth up to $80,000. Lincoln pennies may look ordinary, but some rare dates and errors have shocked collectors at auctions with jaw-dropping prices. From mysterious minting mistakes to coins struck in the wrong metal, these tiny treasures could turn a simple penny into a life-changing discovery. The 1960D era Lincoln penny. We'll explore how a simple design tweak created one of the most sought-after coins of modern times. We'll break down the rarest error types you need to know about. And most importantly, we'll reveal how some lucky finds have shocked collectors by selling for 5 figures at auction. So, grab a seat, maybe even your change jar, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at a 1960D penny the same way again. The background. To understand the 1960D penny, we need to rewind to the late 1950s. The Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, had been a staple of American currency for decades. By 1959, the U.S. Mint updated the reverse design, replacing the wheat ears with the Lincoln Memorial, to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. So, in 1960, the Lincoln Memorial design was still fresh and collectors were paying close attention. Double die obverse DDO, $4,000 to $5,000, off-center strikes and broad strikes, $7,000 to $9,000, proof-like strikes and errors, $12,000 to $15,000. Auction records and real values. Now let's get to the part you've been waiting for. The big money. Over the past few decades, rare 1960D Lincoln cents have stunned the coin world at auctions. Here are a few jaw-dropping results. A 1960D small date Lincoln cent, graded MS67 red, sold for over $10,000 at auction. A 1960D RPM number 1 in pristine condition reached nearly $15,000. Certain double die examples have hit the $32,000 mark when in gem red condition, verified by PCGS or NGC. Even in lower mint state grades, valuable varieties like the small date DDO or RPM can bring $1,000 to $5,000 easily. Meanwhile, common 1960D large date cents in circulated condition are worth only face value. That's the magic of coin collecting. Knowledge transforms change into treasure. And that's why checking every 1960D penny carefully matters. How to identify and value. So, how do you know if you've struck gold with a 1960D penny? Check the date. Learn the small date versus large date differences. Inspect the mint mark. Look for repunching, double DS, or misaligned mint marks. Look for doubling. Use a magnifying glass to spot doubled letters or dates. Check strike quality. Proof-like surfaces or sharp details can add big premiums. Grade matters. Coins in red mint state, MS65+, are the real jackpot winners. If you think you've got something special, send it for grading to PCGS, NGC, or Annex. Authentication is key to commanding top dollar at auction. Why collectors love the 1960D penny. The 1960D penny is more than just a coin. It's a story. It represents a turning point in U.S. mint practices, where a small design change created lasting confusion and excitement. It also captures the thrill of error collecting, proving that even in modern times, mistakes slip through. Collectors love it because it combines history tied to the Lincoln Memorial design era mystery. Small date versus large date hunt. Rarity. Only a fraction survive in gem. In this video, we're going to explore the history of the 1973 Lincoln penny, break down the types of errors that make them incredibly rare, and reveal the shocking auction sales that prove these coins can reach life-changing values. Stick with me until the end, because I'm going to show you exactly which 1973 pennies you should be on the lookout for, and trust me, you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. The background. The Lincoln cent had already been a part of American life for over 60 years by 1973. First introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, the penny quickly became the most recognizable coin in the U.S. By 1959, the coin's reverse was redesigned to feature the Lincoln Memorial, symbolizing unity and honoring Lincoln's legacy. The memorial design continued all the way until 2008. The year 1973 marked an interesting time for the U.S. Mint. Inflation was rising, and discussions were already starting about whether to keep making pennies from 95% copper and 5% zinc/tin. Each coin weighed 3.11 grams, with a composition. What makes a 1973 penny valuable? Let's get this straight. A normal 1973 penny in circulated condition is worth 1 cent. Even in high uncirculated grades, most 1973 pennies only fetch a couple of dollars. So what makes some of them worth tens of thousands? Minting errors. Errors happen when the minting equipment misaligns, doubles the design, strikes the wrong planchet, or otherwise malfunctions. These accidents are rare and collectors pay big premiums for them. Condition and color. Lincoln cents are graded as brown, BN, red-brown, RB, or red, RD. A 1973 era penny in blazing red mint state, MS65 or higher, is worth exponentially more than the same coin in a dull brown circulated state. Authentication-only coins certified by top grading companies like PCGS, NGC, or ANAX bring the highest values. A coin with a dramatic error and an official grade can easily jump from a few $100s into the five-figure range. So when we talk about those shocking $30,000 to $45,000 auction prices, we're specifically talking about major errors in high-grade red condition. Wrong planchet strikes. $5,000 to $15,000. Double die obverse DDO. $10,000 to $25,000. Off-center strikes. $3,000 to $7,000. Transitional errors. $30,000 to $45,000. Auction records. The big money. Collectors love numbers, so let's dive into some real results. Over the years, 1973 era pennies have sold for staggering sums. A 1973 Lincoln cent struck on a silver dime planchet, graded MS65, sold for nearly $30,000 in 1973. Double die obverse in blazing red mint state shocked collectors by hammering for $39,000. Perhaps the most legendary sale was a 1973 off-metal strike in pristine condition that pushed close to $45,000 at auction. Even less dramatic errors can still bring strong money. A 1973 penny with an off-center strike of 40% sold for $1,200. A clipped planchet example fetched nearly $500. These records prove that. The 1973 penny. We'll uncover the history of the 1976 D-era Lincoln penny, break down the rarest error types, and reveal how collectors have paid staggering amounts for coins that slipped through the cracks. Stick with me to the very end, because I'm going to show you exactly which 1976 D-era pennies to look for, and you might be shocked to learn that one of these could still be hiding in your pocket change right now. The background. The year 1976 was historic for the United States. The bicentennial, celebrating 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. To honor the occasion, the U.S. Mint redesigned the quarter, half dollar, and dollar with special bicentennial designs. But interestingly, the penny along with the nickel and dime retained their usual look. That means the 1976 penny features the familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse. The Denver Mint produced over 4.2 billion pennies in 1976. Most were struck in the standard copper alloy of 95% copper and 5% zinc/tin, each weighing 3.11 grams. The 1976 D pennies can be worth a fortune. A regular 1976 D penny in circulated condition is worth just a cent. Even in uncirculated condition, most sell for less than $1. So why are some worth more than $50,000? The answer lies in mint errors and die varieties. Back in 1976, the Denver Mint was striking coins at an incredible pace to meet public demand. With so many coins being made, mistakes were inevitable. Some planchets slipped through that didn't belong. Some dies were misaligned. Some mint marks were repunched by hand, creating collectible varieties, and when these mistakes happened, they created error pennies that collectors hunt for like buried treasure. Combine one of these dramatic errors with a coin in blazing mint state red condition, and suddenly, that penny can bring life-changing money at auction. Wrong planchet strikes. $10,000 to $20,000. Double die obverse DDO. $15,000 to $25,000. Double die reverse DDR. $30,000 to $35,000. Off-center strikes. $9,000 to $14,000. Auction records. The big money. Now for the part collectors love most. Real auction results. A 1976 D Lincoln cent struck on a 10-cent planchet, graded MS65, sold for nearly $18,000 in 1976. D penny on a foreign planchet shocked collectors when it brought in over $50,000 at auction. Another spectacular error, a double die obverse in blazing red condition. Hammered for $55,000 off-center strikes with the date intact have sold for over $7,500, but the most jaw-dropping? A rare off-metal strike that combined pristine condition and rarity selling for $58,000. This proves that with the right error, a penny can be worth more than a gold bar. How to identify one? Here's how you can check your 1976 D penny. Check the date and lettering. Look for doubling. Inspect the reverse. Look for doubling on the Lincoln Memorial or 1 cent. Examine the shape. Is it off-center? Does it look clipped or broad-struck? Check the metal. Does it look silvery or unusually thick? Could be a wrong. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny that most people would toss into a vending machine could secretly be worth more than a luxury car, or even enough to pay for a college education. The most valuable 1978 D-era Lincoln penny, and reveal the jaw-dropping auction results that have stunned collectors around the world. So stick with me to the very end, because I'm going to show you exactly which pennies from 1978 could be worth a life-changing payday and how to spot them before anyone else does. The background. By 1978, the Lincoln cent had already been around for nearly 70 years. First introduced in 1909 to mark Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, it was one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. The Lincoln Memorial Reverse, designed by Frank Gasparro, had been in use since 1959. This design would continue until 2008, making the 1978 penny part of that long memorial era. The Denver Mint struck over 4.2 billion pennies in 1978, easily enough to keep up with demand. Each coin weighed 3.11 grams and was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. The 1978 D-era penny is so valuable. Minting errors. The most valuable 1978 D pennies are error coins. Wrong planchet strikes, double dies, off-centers, and transitional varieties create the kind of uniqueness that collectors will pay a premium for. Condition. Grading is everything. A rare error in poor condition might sell for a few hundred, but in mint state red condition, the value can skyrocket into 5 figures or higher. Rarity. Not all errors are equal. A simple misstrike might be worth a little, but dramatic wrong planchet strikes or high-grade double dies are extremely rare, making them the real money makers when all 3 factors line up. A dramatic error, in pristine condition, with only a handful known. That's when we see those shocking $60,000 to $73,000 auction prices. Wrong planchet strikes, $60,000 to $73,000. Double die obverse DDO, $15,000 to $25,000. Double die reverse DDR, $10,000 to $18,000. Off-center strikes, $8,000 to $12,000. Auction records. The big money. Now let's talk about real sales that prove just how valuable these coins can be. A 1978 D penny struck on a dime planchet, graded MS65, sold for nearly $18,000. A 1978 D penny on a nickel planchet hammered for over $25,000. A dramatic double die obverse in mint state red sold for more than $60,000. A spectacular 1978 D penny struck on a foreign planchet, authenticated and graded, stunned collectors when it sold for nearly $68,000. Even lesser errors bring strong prices. Off-center strikes with the full date visible can reach $73,000. Broad strikes and dramatic clips often bring in thousands. These results prove that the 1978 D-era penny is no ordinary cent. It's a potential jackpot. How to identify a valuable 1978 D-era. Here's what to check if you have a 1978 D penny date and mint mark. Look closely for doubling on 1978 and Liberty. Lettering. Check doubled letters. Reverse. Look for doubling on the Lincoln. This isn't just any ordinary penny. The legendary 1982 small date copper Lincoln penny, one of the rarest and most valuable errors in all of U.S. coin history. Collectors have been hunting for this coin for decades, and very few lucky people have ever seen one in person. So, how did this humble penny become so rare, and why are collectors willing to pay tens of thousands of dollars for it? Stick with me until the very end, because we're about to uncover the full story, the history, the errors, and the shocking auction. The history of the 1982 Lincoln cent. To understand the magic of the 1982 penny, we need to go back in time for decades. Lincoln cents were struck from 95% copper and 5% zinc, a durable and classic composition. But by the early 1980s, the rising price of copper became a serious problem. In fact, the cost of the metal inside the penny was starting to exceed the coin's face value. That meant the U.S. Mint was actually losing money making pennies, so in 1982, the mint made a dramatic change. They switched from the heavy, reddish copper cents to a lighter zinc core coin coated with copper plating. This was one of the biggest shifts in penny production in US history. How to identify the 1982 small date copper penny. So, how can you tell if you've got one of these treasures in your hands? Check the date style. The small date has a very distinct look. On a large date, the numbers look bolder and the two drops lower. Check the mint mark. The rarest coin is the 1982D small date copper. If you see AD under the date, you may be holding the jackpot. Check the weight. A genuine copper cent weighs 3.11 grams. The zinc cents weigh just 2.5 grams. This is the ultimate test, so grab a precise digital scale. If your coin is a 1982D small date and weighs 3.11 grams, you might just have one of the rarest Lincoln cents ever minted. Auction records and shocking values. Now let's get to the part that makes collectors' jaws drop: the values. When one of these coins first appeared, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. Collectors went crazy, bidding sky-high for the chance to own one. A 1982D small date copper penny once sold for over $18,000. Another example in top condition fetched more than $40,000. The finest known examples have gone for staggering sums of $80,000 to $87,000, and even close to $93,000. Think about that for a second. A penny worth nearly $100,000. That's the kind of find that makes coin collecting so thrilling. It proves that even the smallest coin can hold a fortune. Tips for collectors and treasure hunters. Here are some expert tips if you want to search for this rare penny. Get a good scale. Accuracy is everything. The weight difference is the key. Use a magnifier. Study the date carefully to distinguish small versus large date. Check rolls of pennies. Many people dump old coins at banks. Rolls are treasure troves. Look through old jars. The best chance of finding copper cents is in change saved from the early 1980s.